1926, the National Broadcasting Company hit the airwaves for the first time. At this point, broadcast networks were still relatively new, and while impressive, the process was not without its issues. NBC's programming was broadcast from New York City, transmitted via telephone wire to 19 affiliate stations, and then sent via radio into the homes of listeners. A major difficulty was communication between the network headquarters and the affiliate stations. Some networks utilized two lines between parties, a telephone line that transmitted the programming, and a telegraph line that transmitted memos between employees.
Whoa.
NBC did not have the latter, so when it came time for the affiliate stations to manually switch between programs, they were often unsure when the programming block was going to end, resulting in a clumsy operation that affected the listening experience. Almost immediately after its debut, NBC was looking for a way to solve this issue. Rather than spend time and money running telegraph lines to all of its affiliates, NBC needed to send the message that programming was going to conclude through the programming itself. This message needed to be clear enough that the affiliate stations would know to make the switch, but not disruptive to those listening to the programming. An NBC announcer, Phillips Carlin, had previously been the announcer of the B.F. Goodrich Silvertown Orchestra program, which was introduced by a series of chimes. Carlin suggested that a short series of notes be played at the end of programming, signaling to the affiliate stations to make switches while offering a pleasant melody to listeners. The original NBC melody consisted of 7 notes, which would be played by the announcer at the
end. That's the din 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 din. How'd I do?
End of the program. This sequence proved too complicated for many announcers, and after a few years of experimenting, the melody would be simplified to just 3 notes. G, E, C.
So good.
While not the first musical network identifier put in place, the NBC chimes was the first to be recognized nationwide and was the first iconic sound signature in the United States. As more radio
and that's interesting. So like how iPhones, like everyone knows the iPhone ringtone now. Everybody knew that.
Eventually, television networks entered the media landscape throughout the 20th century. Many would try to create sound signatures of their own. Most often, the branding would only last a few years before being refreshed, and the sound signatures with the most longevity would often not be themes representing the network as a whole, but rather a specific programming block, such as a theme for news or sports.
Oh, that's a good one.
Still, there were a few network themes that became permanent. The NBC chimes are still used today, 90 years after being introduced.
Whoa, that's
in 1984,
different now.
Nickelodeon debuted a theme sung by jazz musician Eugene Pitt and produced by roots musician Tom Pompisello.
Nick, 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 Nickelodeon!
This sound signature remains the network's theme and has been remixed countless times in the 40 years since being introduced. In 1993, HBO debuted the HBO Static Angel. The branding was created by a team led by HBO's head of production, Bruce Richmond, and the logo and short music cues still appear with HBO original programming nearly 3 decades later. The NBC chimes, the Nickelodeon mnemonic, and the HBO Static Angel are all iconic sound signatures, recognizable to generations of viewers. However, there is another network theme that fits this description. A theme that has been playing for 2 decades and has achieved an iconic status for generations as well. This is the Disney Channel theme. The theme comprises 4 notes. 4 notes that debuted in the early 2000s.
Well, I don't remember what it sounds like.
4 notes that dominated through the network's rise and peak in popularity. 4 notes that are still being used on the channel today.
Golden Toxic, that is not the 4 notes. That's not how it goes. But thank you, Spank.
The Disney Channel theme was created by... The Disney Channel theme was created by...
What's going on?
The Disney Channel theme was created by...
What's happening? What happened? What happened? Coconut Thief of the 5.
I have no idea.
Oh.
We should be good. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you great.
Okay, great. Andrew Barth Feldman, Sis, Damian Haas, You are a star on stage and screen, and you have
I
appeared
love that she just goes by sis. That's so hype.
in a Disney television production.
That's right.
You are a star of stage
I am.
and screen.
Am.
You are a Disney Channel fan.
Some would say.
You have been on Disney Channel.
I have been on Disney Channel, yes.
I invited you here to ask you one question. So here we go.
Wow. Jabba, thank you for this 8 months. I wish I could edit. I wish I had a vision for it.
So this is my question. Do you know the Disney Channel theme?
I actually don't know it.
I feel like I do.
I don't know it.
Do you know the Disney Channel theme song?
It makes me think like a Hillary Duff, like, hi, I'm Hillary Duff, and you're watching the Disney Channel. And then it'd be like,
I don't know it.
It's hi, you're watching Disney Channel. That's the theme. But
That's not the theme.
Dun,
that
dun,
is something.
dun, dun.
And the theme is in there.
it is there is one.
Yes,
It's a
there is
wand
a
sound.
theme.
Don't.
That's right, you got it.
Dun, dun,
I know.
Dun, dun.
or is it like, "Bwah, bwah, bwah, bwah," or something like that?
That is really close.
Okay, yeah.
It's actually
Oh.
Yeah, of course.
It's like sound when you buy something on Sims.
Isn't it weird that we don't know who wrote that theme?
No.
What is she eating?
Okay.
Oh, it's bubblegum.
We don't know who wrote the Nickelodeon theme.
Yes, we do.
I don't.
But you could know if you wanted.
Sure, and I'm sure we could know if we wanted to know who wrote
But
the
we
Disney Channel
can't.
theme.
Nobody
Okay,
knows.
go.
So what I'm going to try to
she's
do is
not
a
having
legitimate investigation
Okay,
where I try to figure out who wrote this theme.
great.
I'm catching you at such a crazy time in this journey that you're on. I can't wait to see where it goes.
I need my water. She's like, I got shit to do today.
I've always been fascinated with television programming, specifically programming breaks. The content before, after, and in between shows.
Wait,
Not the
am I
commercials,
drinking way
but
too
the
dank?
bumpers,
Or what was way too
network
dank?
identifications, and interstitial programming. It is a fascinating liminal space, full of subtle reassurances.
Visuals. Oh,
Here's
okay.
where you are, here's what you've been watching, and here's what's next. Don't leave. Don't
Stay
go
tuned.
anywhere. Don't worry. We'll be right back. At the peak of television's popularity, these breaks even acted as extensions of the main content, to the point that, absent of this material, context is lost. You can watch an episode of Full House or Family Matters on DVD, but without the TGIF branding and interstitials, there's a key component to the viewing experience that is missing. You can watch All That or Clarissa Explains It All on streaming, but it is a fundamentally different experience removed from the SNCC branding.
I missed what
There's
SNCC
no
was.
channel where this symbiosis is more apparent than Disney Channel. Unlike its rivals Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon, Disney Channel does not have traditional commercial breaks with content produced by third-party advertisers. Instead, the channel uses this time in a variety of creative ways. This programming, which has been watched by millions of people for over 2 decades, is surrounded and accented by 4 simple notes. But how do you trace back their origins? Where do you even begin?
Two horse, thank you for the 19. The heck? Sneak Snag, thank you for the sub. Or for the raid. Sorry, Sneak Snag, I'm sick. Sneak Snag, thank you for the raid. Not the sub. He's not a sub. Honestly, just said that to make him feel uncomfortable, so now he has to sub. I'm just kidding. Thank you for the raid, you guys. How was your day? What did you guys do? I'm so sick. Galen, thank you for the 3 months. 1 second. Sorry. We are watching this video about when you say, hi, you're watching Disneyland, and it goes, dun, 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 dun. We don't know who wrote that, and Defunctland is going to figure it out. He's going to figure it out because he's very focused and he's good at it. And he's going to figure it out. Also, yeah, one more time, shouting out the merch. My merch goes into the vault on Monday, so if you want merch, buy it now. Smile. Sorry, I'm sick, guys. I'm not a ton of energy right now.
Alright, let's establish our timeline. On April 18th, 1983, the Disney Channel debuted in the United States. As we've discussed a lot on Defunct TV, the Disney Channel was originally a premium cable service, following the successful model created by HBO a decade earlier. Subscribers of the Disney Channel were treated to reruns of classic Disney films, shows, and shorts, along with a selection of original programming and some cool bumpers. The Disney Channel logo featured Mickey's silhouette in front of a television with scan lines. This would often be accompanied by a Mickey-shaped satellite that became an icon of the channel in its early years. The channel did not have a dedicated theme when it debuted, so various instrumentals of Zippity Doo-Dah were used in the bumpers.
The Disney Channel.
In 1986, just 3 years after debuting, the Disney Channel was given its first big refresh. While the logo stayed the same, the tone of the channel was changed significantly, transitioning from its original dramatic, cinematic approach to one that was more lighthearted and Disney. This came with a new series of channel identifications that featured the disembodied hands of Mickey Mouse performing some sort of task or activity that resulted in the creation of the Disney Channel logo. These bumpers were brilliantly shot, visually stunning, and also a bit unsettling. There's something disturbing about only seeing Mickey's hands in puppet form and never hearing his voice. In one of these bumpers, Mickey goes into a photo booth, and you think surely this will be the one where we see his face, but no, the photos just come out smudged and blurred. Scary stuff. This bumper is also terrifying, but it's definitely on purpose this time. Mickey is having a nightmare in which his hand is being chased by a ghost, and then the Disney Channel logo itself. The hand then runs down a hallway made of the other bumpers, and all of those bumpers' hands begin to attack this bumper's hand.
Oh my God.
And one of the attacking bumpers is the bumper we're watching. The bumper ends with Mickey's alarm waking him up, which is a total cliche. But otherwise, the bumper is the best bumper. It bumps. Many of the musical cues in these channel IDs are similar, but the Disney Channel still lacked a distinct theme. However, an original song was created to promote the channel, and they did not hold back on the energy.
Oh my gosh, is that real?
This rather long musical number culminated in families and Disney characters singing Disney's Our Channel, and among the choir was everyone's favorite Disney character.
Our channel. Disney's our channel.
This song often ended with one of the most violent logo reveals in the history of television.
Oh my god.
A few
What
years
the
later, in the
hell?
early 90s, more channel IDs in the POV style were created, except rather than puppetry, these new ones used claymation. And instead of featuring Mickey's hands, this batch was from the perspective of Donald. In 1995,
Donald.
the Disney Channel began to phase out the scanline portion of its logo, opting to just use the text to represent the channel. This would not last long though, as 2 years later in 1997, the channel would have its most significant change yet, transitioning from a premium cable service to a basic cable channel. Disney would drop the in the channel's name, becoming simply Disney
Always
Channel.
drop the
A new logo was
chat.
created with a Mickey-shaped television that various characters
That's
would
cool.
be composited into. This refresh also gave Disney Channel its most distinct musical theme yet.
Oh, that's pretty
These
good.
branding changes were just part of a massive transition for Disney Channel. Up to this point, most of the Disney Channel's original programming was 27 minutes. But after the switch to basic cable, the channel would transition to television standard 22-minute programs. This meant that Disney Channel's 27-minute programming would be phased out and replaced with new content. And also, that for every 30 minutes of airtime, the channel would need 8 minutes of programming breaks. Disney Channel assured
Oh my
its
God, I used to
longtime
love
viewers that they
Homeward
would
Bound.
not be filling this time with commercials, which was somewhat true. Disney Channel would take on very few sponsorships from outside companies, instead opting to advertise the countless products being sold throughout the Disney company.
True, good
This
point.
turned Disney Channel into a synergy machine, seamlessly promoting its films, TV
Bit of a
shows,
monopoly,
products,
no?
and theme parks. However, it would be a disservice to call these tie-ins simply commercials, as they were formatted in such a way that they could be viewed as original programming. For instance, within a year of the transition to basic cable, Disney Channel began airing a program called Movie Surfers. Movie Surfers gave viewers an inside look at the newest Disney feature film, with
Oh my
child
gosh, I
actors
remember
serving
Movie
as
Surfers.
entertainment reporters. Ideas such as these were brilliant and a sign
gosh,
of
I
what was to
remember
come.
this.
But at this point in the late 90s, Disney Channel was still very much in a period of transition and experimentation, and not every idea stuck. Coming out of the switch to basic
what
cable,
the
Disney Channel
freak?
experimentation, and
Oh
not
my god, there's supposed to be the T. There's supposed to be the. That looks so bad. That was a bad idea.
every idea stuck. Coming
Yeah.
out of the switch to basic cable, Disney Channel created 3 distinct programming blocks. First, Playhouse Disney was created as
Oh,
a morning
Playhouse
block
Disney.
with programming
With
aimed at
Roly Poly
preschoolers.
Oly.
Second, Vault Disney was created to air classic films, television programs, and shorts. Vault Disney would air at night and throughout the early
Vault
morning.
Disney.
Finally, over a year after the rebrand, a third programming block was introduced to Disney Channel, an afternoon block aimed at tweens and teens named Zoog Disney. Zoog Disney had its own theme, its own characters, and even its own world. The Zoogs were a group of robots
Zoog
that
Disney
lived inside of the
cringe.
bits and bytes between the television and computer screen. Their
Nobody.
entire backstory
Nobody followed this.
is explained in their theme song, including the odd detail that they've been alive since the birth of fire. And since it
That was very informational. I'm happy they included that.
was released in 1998, each character was introduced in a rap.
My name's Joe. I'm a zoo. Got a place just for you.
The
Say
Zoog
hi.
Disney programming block was an attempt to appeal to the tweens and teens of
I think I was at school during this. I don't remember Zoogs.
the late 90s that were becoming more and more
Zoogs are
interested
cringe.
in this thing called the interweb. It also served the dual purpose of promoting the tie-in website.
It's weird because I remember Movie Surfers, but I don't know what Zoog is.
The lineup for Zoog Disney was initially pretty sparse, with Disney needing to syndicate shows such as Growing Pains while it built
Oh, this is when Growing Pains is on Disney and Boy Meets World.
its own tween programming. Though Disney really only needed to syndicate the 7th season of Growing Pains, because this was the one that featured a young Leonardo DiCaprio, which allowed the channel to brand an entire week of programming as Leonardo Week. In 2000, Disney
Leo
Channel
Week.
introduced a new variant of the 1997 logo, removing the characters in the middle and giving it a more modern, hip look. The Zoogs were also given a CG redesign with more human-looking characters, and Disney Channel
Oh, you know what? I do remember this guy now. Wait, I remember them. Just like very vaguely.
even created Zoog video games and action figures. A new sound signature was also circulated around this time, but it was less of a musical mnemonic and more two melodic shouts. With the premieres of Even Stevens in 2000 and Lizzie McGuire in 2001, Disney Channel was on its way to establishing itself as a major competitor in the preteen demographic, which at the time was dominated by Nickelodeon. By 2002, Disney Channel was ready for another refresh. The 3 programming block model might have helped with the transition from premium cable, but it was no longer needed. The block with the most successful branding, Playhouse Disney, would remain. The Vault Disney block would be retired entirely, as Disney Channel was going all in on tween programming. The Zoog Disney branding would also be dropped, while most of its content would remain. Movie Surfers would continue to produce more episodes, and more interstitial programs in a similar vein were created. The previous movie block branding, Zoog
If they don't talk about Mike's Super Short Show, I'm gonna be pissed.
Movie, would become Disney Channel Movie, with a brand new song that would become iconic for viewers of the channel. Perhaps most significantly, the rebranding would bring a new logo and a new channel theme. These additions first appeared at some point in late 2002. So I figure the first step in finding out who wrote the Disney Channel theme is finding when the theme first appeared. The Disney Channel Wikia said this came about sometime in September of 2002, so let's watch some ads from September of 2002.
Wait, who was on
Let's watch
his?
some ads from
Mr. Bean. Mr. Bean friend. Sniper Wolf. Oh, he's incognito. Oh.
September of 2002.
Kids like you express themselves every day on Disney Channel.
It does help to talk about September 11th because, you know, you get
Oh
it
my
out
God, that's crazy.
of you and you get to be heard.
It was such a traumatic event that, I mean, how could you forget?
If you had heard me last year, that's all I would have been talking about.
It's definitely a healing
It's all Beans was talking about that year, you know?
process.
Disney Channel. Express yourself.
Can we watch the full one? I can't live in this world where we don't see the full one, chat.
Oh, thank God. I really thought that was going to be the first appearance of the theme. This segment, this Express Yourself segment, I feel like I've seen something like this before where the teen stars of the channel do these sit-downs, but usually it's about friends or the homework they pretend to do, but it's not about 9/11 usually. So after a bit more research, I found a lot more of these 9/11 PSAs, most of which were from right after the September 11th attacks in 2001, and these have been recirculated recently. About a year ago, there was a bunch of news stories looking back on these PSAs, but none of those look back on the ones that were a year later, which visually are a lot less patriotic, which makes the transition into talking about 9/11 far more jarring. Anyways.
When you give, you get back a lot more. Check out Disney Adventures Magazine for all the details.
You can make a difference. Kids can make a big difference.
So this is still the old logo, and I haven't heard the new theme yet, but I also haven't seen any Zoog Disney branding. So in the timeline here, it seems this is after Zoog Disney was retired, but before the new assets went into circulation. I'll watch a few more from this batch just to make sure.
Kids like you express themselves every day on Disney Channel.
Thank you.
One of the positive sides of September 11th.
Whoa.
All right, that's enough of that. I don't think the theme is in this batch, so let's move on. One comment does say, it's awesome you got a September 2002 Disney Channel airing from before the retool/logo change. So that makes me optimistic that the wiki is right and that September 2002 is when
Hassan should
we
call
get
her.
the new logo. Not sure if that's when the
No,
theme's
that's not
going to
Mandy
show up,
Moore.
though.
That's the girl who played
also,
Miranda
huge
on
thank
Lizzie
you to
McGuire.
archivists that upload programming breaks. These are specifically from Southpaw Frizzle. I view it as legitimately important historical work. These are time capsules that could have easily been lost. That's the old theme. So this is still before the retool. Gosh darn it. Let's see if there's any of those Express Yourself ads in here.
I think that kids should just be friends with their friends for who they are and not worry about where they came from or who they're
Not true. You should only be friends with the rich kids, chat. So then they invite you over and you can see nice things and feel bad about your own. That's what I did.
Parents are.
I agree.
Someone differently just because of what someone else has done.
A lot of my friends, they're treated differently because of the whole September 11 situation.
Oh my gosh, I thought this was going to be a normal.
Wait, why would your friends, what?
One. This was before Disney Channel's logo changed a few days later on October 7th, 2002 by CA Square. And then Evan's Media Archive says, nope, they changed it on September 30th,
Oh my God,
2002.
the fighting.
There's no way somebody uploaded something from September 30th, 2002.
Tomasa, thank you for the 17 months.
Gosh. This is September 30th, 2002, and that's the new Playhouse Disney logo down there. We're so close.
Boy Meets World.
Wait.
After that, it's a twin thing.
Wait.
Sister.
On Disney Channel.
That was it. That was the 4-note mnemonic. We found it. So the new logo and 4-note theme
That's the Disney
debuted the
Channel
week
I
of
used to
September
watch.
30th, 2002. But we're still missing a key feature of the rebrand. I don't see any of the wand IDs. I don't see them drawing anything. The Disney Channel channel identification, or wand IDs as they are most often referred to, are a series of bumpers that feature a star of the channel stating their name and the program in which they appear, before uttering the classic line,
And you're watching Disney Channel.
It's almost unnecessary to describe these bumpers, because they are by far the most iconic and recognizable aspect of Disney Channel that exists outside of the
Disney
programming.
did a good job
and they
with
are
these.
one of the most famous channel identifications in the history of television. For broadcast networks, channel IDs such as these are actually mandatory. Stations must air an identification during sign-on and sign-off, as well as every hour on the hour.
This is station KMBC.
Oh, really? I
Channel
didn't know
9,
that.
Kansas City.
This is because broadcast television
Chat, this is station QTC Broadcast City Television 9, Ohio.
uses public airwaves and is subject to the identification standards set by the Federal Communications Commission. Cable channels, on the other hand, are private, and instead of using airwaves, cable uses cables and satellites. So while cable channels such as Disney Channel don't legally have to air channel identifications, there are still many reasons why programmers might create these types of bumpers. For children's television, the FCC mandates that there's a clear separation
FCC,
between the
don't
programming
fuck with
and the
me.
commercials. This is due to the fact that children have child brains that can't always tell when Max and Ruby has ended and a commercial for Floam has begun. This is what initially led to some of the most famous bumpers in children's television, including the famous After These Messages bumpers from ABC. A channel identification after the commercials and before the programming can also qualify as a reasonable separation of the two. Another common use for channel IDs and bumpers in general is that they provide a buffer before and after the commercial block. This way, if the beginning
Oh my
or
God, those
end of the
ravioli
commercial block
commercials.
is cut off due to a glitch or an error, it will only cut into the bumper and not the commercial. This prevents the channel from losing any revenue from its advertisers. Another, more obvious reason for a channel ID is the benefit to the viewer. While today it is almost entirely irrelevant, before the advent of modern television interfaces, viewers often had no way of knowing what network they were watching as they surfed through channels. So having someone say it out loud was actually pretty helpful. Perhaps the most important aspect of a channel ID, though, is branding. And this is the true genius of the Disney Channel wand IDs. In the course of just a few seconds, the channel was able to present one of their stars, one of their programs, the channel's name, and the channel's logo as one unified product. After comparing this to the chaos and randomness of Zoog Disney, it is no wonder why these idents were so successful in rebranding the channel.
What's for dinner?
Which is
It's
why
Korean
it's so
soup.
surprising that there are no wand IDs from late 2002. Or I should say,
Bulgogi.
almost no wand IDs.
Oh, I remember this one.
Who is this kid? This nobody was the first person to draw the Disney Channel
Whoa,
logo.
that was harsh.
He's also really good. He is a pro. Look at those circles. It seems that this kid, whose bumper aired throughout late 2002, was the first person to appear in a wand identification, even if only
Nobody.
technically. The first batch of wand IDs with the channel stars would not air until June of 2003,
What was he in?
8 months after the rebrand. Prior to their debut, Disney Channel would rely on a different set of channel IDs that were far more elaborate in scope and used an impressive amount of visual
Steven
effects for
Stevens?
the
Oh.
time. Each bumper featured children using their imaginations to make an ordinary situation magical, before returning back
Dude, I
to
remember all
reality
of
as
these.
the Disney Channel logo was revealed.
Boss, thank you
like
for
the
the
other
time.
bumpers from this refresh, these idents also ended with the 4-note theme. Watching these back to back, it's interesting to note how different the music cues are. They all have different tones, instrumentation, and progressions. Often, the only common element is the final 4 notes, which also vary slightly in key and rhythm. These imagination IDs would continue to air on the channel, albeit less often after the introduction of the Wand IDs. The initial batch of Wand IDs featured such stars as Hilary Duff for Lizzie McGuire, Raven Simone for That's So Raven, and America Ferrera for the Disney Channel original movie Gotta Kick It Up. This batch also included 2 animated Wand IDs, one for
I don't know why I didn't like American Ferrera. I think it's because her name was America. Did anybody here like her? I literally would never watch Gotta Kick It Up. No, that's literally, I didn't watch Ugly Betty because
These
of her.
imagination IDs would continue to air on the channel,
I don't know
albeit
why I
less
didn't like her
often
so much.
after
I don't
the
remember what she
introduction of
looks
the
like.
Wand IDs. The initial batch of Wand IDs featured
like-
such stars as Hilary Duff for Lizzie McGuire, Raven Simone for That's So Raven, and America Ferrera for the Disney
Why did I dislike her?
Channel original movie Gotta Kick It Up.
I didn't
this
watch
batch
Sisterhood of the
also
Traveling
included
Pats.
2
No.
animated Wand IDs, one for animated Lizzie and another for
Oh,
Kim
you're
Possible,
fine.
Ron
Take it to 9.
Stoppable, and Rufus. It is hard to properly explain just how popular
that
these
girl in?
bumpers were. It seemed that every child that watched the channel desperately wanted to do one.
Me and my friend had glow sticks one day, and on the commercials you can see where they have those little glow sticks and they're going. And
Little
me and my friend
baby.
like to play around. So like, I'm Selena. We're watching Disney Channel. We like to draw it all the time.
They never had you do a Wand ID despite you being on the channel.
No, and I could talk about my disappointment with that all day. That's all I wanted to do. That was all I wanted to do, because if I ever flipped the channel, odds are I would see like, what's up? I'm Juggy Brodelteen, and you're watching the Disney Channel, and do the little doots. The closest I ever got was they had my zombie character host like, it's Disney Halloween special week, and you know.
Oh, so you had a bumper.
I had a bumper, but it was with my character that was a zombie and was co-hosted by someone who did all the talking. So we never did the Mickey. It was just always like, you know, coming up next is whatever, and I'd be like, ah, no! And they'd be like, that's right, it is a new episode.
2 months.
These bumpers have remained relevant with Disney Channel fans old and new. In 2019, the Disney Now app debuted a feature that allowed users to make their own Wand IDs. And at the 2022 D23 Disney Fan Convention, there was even a photo op where you could pretend to do one. The Wand IDs have even found a broader legacy outside of just those that watch the channel, reaching the true indicator of cultural notability: memes. The original batch constantly circulates online, with fans editing the footage to display the stars' drawings more realistically, showcasing just how bad these actors are at drawing what appears to be a fairly simple logo. Returning to the initial batch that was aired on the channel, the clever editing around these awful drawings is evident. I think the worst one has to be Spencer Breslin, who even in the edited version is still noticeably off. But to be fair, he probably had other things on his mind.
Yeah,
If you had heard me last year, that's all I would have been talking about.
I had seen these edited versions.
It hurts to laugh, but that was hilarious. That was so funny. Oh no. He was an Even Stevens.
A few times, but I just thought of something while revisiting them. Where did this footage come from? These are obviously outtakes and not taken from the original idents. Sure enough, I was able to find a few of these outtakes, and there are a few things that stood out to me. First, this line from Hilary Duff.
Oh, it's mouse ears.
Yeah, it's mouse
Oh.
ears. There you go.
It seems that the stars were not sure what they were even supposed to be drawing, which makes you wonder what instructions they were given. Most likely, they were told they were drawing the new logo, and this was just her noticing that they were mouse ears for the first time. Hilary Duff is one of the first to ever see the new logo and the first to ever do a Wand ID, and she has no point of reference for what the final version will look like, and has no concept of just how iconic these bumpers will become. This is the burden of the trailblazer and the solitude of the trendsetter.
They made us do it like 900 times. I think I had like lost all personality at that point. Plus I was like pubescent teen. I was like, what are they making me do? This is invisible. This is not cool.
Another thing I noticed is that these outfits are the same ones used in the Express Yourself bumpers /9/11 PSAs.
Oh my god.
This either means that the channel had a
They filmed
wardrobe
them
for the
all on the
stars whenever they
same
were
day.
appearing as themselves, or that these were filmed on the same day or days.
That's
Both are
interesting.
likely. Finally, and most importantly, I noticed this. That is a slate. It is
Yeah.
used for sound synchronization and shot
Uh-huh.
organization. Clapperboards typically feature the scene, shot, and take, as well as the name of the director of photography and the director. It's difficult to make out, but the top name is labeled DIR, and the bottom is labeled CAM. This means that someone named G. Owen directed at least the production of the first batch of Wand IDs. Despite not airing until June of 2003, it is safe to assume that these Wand IDs were actually shot with the Express Yourself segments in 2002. The actors' clothes are
Whoa.
the same, they look the same age, and they were all part of the same massive refresh. The Disney Channel Wikia claims that the Wand IDs were
Whoa.
filmed along with the Express Yourself ads, specifically in August of 2002. If true, this makes perfect sense within the timeline. The channel probably set October as the month the refresh would kick in. As we discovered, many of these changes actually debuted on September 30th, but that was the Monday of the first week of October, so this still tracks. The only part of the August shoot that was time-sensitive was the 9/11 PSAs, which were designed to debut before the refresh during the one-year anniversary of the attacks that September.
Thank you, Sarah
The
Bear.
post-production of these segments was likely expedited to meet the deadline, and the channel made sure that these all ended with the old logo. This is almost too perfect. These 9/11 PSAs were designed to only air in September of 2002, as all of the stars are referencing the one-year anniversary specifically. These would never air again, so only these would retain the old logo and would never need an updated version. The other Express Yourself
Whoa.
ads were definitely shot at the same time, were designed to air at any time and in perpetuity, all end with the new logo, and for the record, have a very different tone than the 9/11 ones.
Ooh, I love food.
Express yourself.
Assuming
Express
G. Owen
yourself.
directed the Wand IDs from pre to post production, then they must know who wrote the music, and therefore the theme. This is the most solid lead I have, but there is just one problem. I don't know their first name, and searching for G. Owen or any variation of did not return solid results. I assume that the voice in the outtakes is the director, and it sounds masculine, so I looked for Gregory, Gary, George, Gerald, Gabriel,
Jesus.
Gavin, Grant, Jerry, before eventually trying Glenda, Gabby, Grace, Gretel, Gwen, and Gertrude before giving up. I still feel like this is a key to the puzzle. I just cannot find the answer right now,
Man.
so I'm going to have to go in a different direction.
This guy could solve the Idaho murders.
Thank you for calling the Defunct Land tip line. If you have any leads on who might have written the Disney Channel theme, please leave a message after the beep.
Hey, Kevin. Yeah, I know who wrote the Disney Channel theme song. It was this guy. It was Joe. Yeah, it was Joe Mama.
Got him.
Joe Mama wrote the Disney Channel theme song. So yeah, hope that helps.
Hey, I've got a tip.
That was me, chat.
Calling these YouTube videos documentaries, you pretentious.
Yo, Kevin. What's up, man? Hey, I heard you were researching the Disney Channel theme. Have you ever heard of the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones?
The Mighty Mighty Bosstones are a ska band that was formed in Boston, Massachusetts in 1983. The band was originally started by blah 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 blah. All you need to know is that in 1997, the band released the hit single The Impression That I Get. This is by far the most popular Mighty Mighty Bosstones song, and for our purposes, its relevance is found in the repeated horn riff.
My friend. Thank you for the 5 gifted. That's my cousin, everybody. Cousin. Do not give me your money. Don't do that. Other people can give me their money. You can't give me your money. You're not allowed to do that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Everyone say hi to my cousin. It's your Christmas present. Wahoo! It's not like that. Other people should be subbed too. Thank you. It's very kind. Very kind. We're watching this.
Heard throughout the
I'm sick.
track. Let me know if you hear anything familiar.
Thank you, Cloth.
Yes, the impression that
Oh
I
my
get by
gosh.
the Mighty Mighty Bosstones seemingly features what would become the Disney Channel theme 5 years later. The riff does include the same notes, and the rhythm is similar, but this is only the first half of
Quick
this
Scrum,
riff.
thank you for the 10.
The reason that I mention this is not because I think the composer of the theme stole from the Mighty Mighty Bosstones. It is also not because I think the theme was written by a Bostonian. I mention this because
Okay.
there's almost no information on the Disney Channel theme online, and everywhere I seem to go, if there's discussion on these 4 notes, someone will bring up this song. So while I don't
Interesting.
think this is part of the mystery, the Mighty Mighty Bosstones have made the board, although I am going to put them way over here. With that out of the way, let's see if we can find some more promising leads.
He solves this mystery, right?
There are 2
Actually, don't
major
tell me.
music licensing organizations that composers and artists join, and that's ASCAP and BMI, and they have a shared database. So if you want to license something, all you have to do is go to this search engine and search for the song, and it'll tell you who owns it, who wrote it, who has the ability to license it. Now, I'm not sure that the
He should've
composer that
started
wrote
there.
the theme would have submitted to ASCAP and BMI, as Disney Channel owns it 100%, but it's the best lead I have right now. So let's search. You can search by title, you can search by composer, you can search by publisher, but I'm just going to type in Disney Channel and see what happens. Whoa. There are 4 pages. There are so many compositions. There are 77 results.
Jeez.
I thought we'd have no results. Now
Thank
I'm
you for
thinking
buying
we
the
have too
merch.
many. Okay, let's see what they give us. Arnheider Theodore Linkfield. That's a great name. It just says Disney Channel. It doesn't tell you anything. It doesn't say the year. The composition is just titled Disney Channel. Okay, here's another one called Disney Channel. We have at least publishers this time. Disney Luft Raus. Is that German? Air Out. Air Out. Like Disney Channel. Is that what like a bumper's called? Like an air out? Okay, that's German Disney Channel. Okay, this is Japanese Disney Channel. Japan Central Music Limited. It's not Disney Channel 10th anniversary because that would have been 93 or something like that. David Norland is credited for writing at least half of these results. I mean, look at how many he made. But how do we verify that he wrote the theme? Because these don't give much away. Okay, so these alternate titles are actually what the announcer is saying. So, and now back to.
interesting.
Yeah, so it says, and now back to right here. Sweet Niblets, Hannah Montana. I bet you I can find the one that says Sweet Niblets. And if it ends with the theme, David Norland wrote the theme. Okay, we got this. Let's do it.
Rock stardom? No biggie. New boy crushes? Whoa, stop the presses!
I
Catch
hate
the
that she used
drama
to
of
say
Hannah
Sweet
Montana
Niblets.
on Disney
We're
Channel.
waiting for Sweet Niblets.
Hannah Miley? Oh, I know. Hang out with Hannah and Miley on Hannah Montana right here on Disney Channel. Stick around. Hannah Montana will be right back on Disney Channel. Let's get back to Hannah Montana on
Say Sweet Niblets.
Hannah Montana's next, part of Disney Channel's Summer of Stars. Don't go away.
Oh my
Hannah
God.
Montana will be right back.
Oh.
Part of Disney Channel's Summer of Stars. Hannah Montana. Hannah Montana.
Hannah Montana.
Hannah Montana. All part of That's So Sweet Life of Hannah Montana. Hannah Montana. Hannah Montana. Sweet Niblets. Hannah Montana.
Yes, we got it. But is the theme there?
Hannah Montana will be right back on Disney Channel.
It is. It's there.
What?
Sweet Niblets. Hannah Montana Disney promo. David Richard Christopher Norland.
Oh yeah,
I just
that
gotta
is right.
figure out how to get in touch with this guy. His website does not mention working for Disney Channel. I'm 95% sure this is the David Norland that wrote for Disney Channel. And I found a way to contact him. I really hope he responds.
Carlos thinks it's 22.
Good news. David Norland responded. Bad news. He did not write the Disney Channel theme. He started writing for the channel in 2007, so the mnemonic
my
predated
God.
his involvement. However, I still asked if he would be willing to do an interview, because he wrote many instrumentals using the 4-note theme, and he very well might know who wrote it. Another reason I'd love to speak with him is because he started writing for the channel in 2007. When I saw that year, 2 words immediately came to mind.
Hannah Montana.
Ribbon Era.
What?
A common practice among those who study and teach history is to separate long spans of time and large amounts of information into smaller, more digestible eras. But how does one go about breaking apart history? Sometimes it's more obvious than others. For instance, the history of China is most often told through its dynasties, and it is very clear when each dynasty begins and ends. Disney's film history has also famously been separated into eras, such as the Golden Age, Silver Age, and the most well-known, the Disney Renaissance. While most breakdowns of the Disney animation eras explain the historical reason for the change, I find that these eras are separated less by history and more by the quality of the films. Sometimes there is a historical reason for a dip in quality, such as the wartime era. But by the time you get to the post-Renaissance, the general reasoning for the distinction is, these are the less good ones. Except for the one that you love. That's my favorite too. So what about Disney Channel? How is its history separated by the fans that study it like the great epic that it is? Is it separated by TV shows, or what about the DCOMs? Surprisingly, the general consensus among fans is that Disney Channel history should be separated by the bumpers. This is not ahistorical, as each change in bumper design typically coincided with other significant changes to the channel in terms of branding and strategy. Still, the nomenclature is most often related to the style of the bumpers. The era from 1983 to 1997 is typically labeled early beginnings, because most Disney Channel fans consider the channel's 1997 rebranding as the true start to the channel as they know it. 1997 to 2002 is an obvious era, and is sometimes labeled the 3-block era, the Zoog Disney era, or the Mickey TV era. 2002 to 2007 is often referred to as the Bounce era, for the way the logo bounces around the screen during the bumpers. In 2007, the channel was given another refresh, retaining many elements from the Bounce era, with the main difference being updated music cues and bumpers that featured a ribbon twirling around the screen before forming the Disney Channel logo. This era is thus referred to as the Ribbon era. In 2010, the bumpers were refreshed once again, now placing the classic logo inside of a rounded square. This was just after Disney Channel began the switch to high definition, allowing viewers to watch in a 16:9 aspect ratio. The original digital on-screen channel graphic, that little watermark in the corner of the screen, referred to as a network bug, was designed with the 4:3 aspect ratio in mind, and probably looked a bit awkward moved out to the far corner while still being attached to the bottom. The same could be said for pretty much all of the bumpers since 2002, as the classic logo hugs the left side of the screen in a way that would leave far too much empty space in a widescreen format. The new rounded square look was a compromise, maintaining the design of the old logo, but placing it in a square that could be centered on the screen or placed equidistant from the corner. I imagine this entire era of television was annoying for those making bumpers, because consumers were still making the transition to HD and channels were simulcasting in standard definition and high definition. This meant that you would need to make your bumper in 16:9, but none of the critical elements could be pushed to the side. This resulted in a product that when viewed in widescreen feels too centered, because rather than this box being the area for all of your titles, you actually have to put them in this box.
I'm back in.
This also made the wand IDs look a bit awkward in this era when broadcast in HD, but we did get to see the dog with a blog wand ID, and he drew that logo way better than those kids. Good boy. In 2014, the rounded square era ended, and Disney Channel fans lost the logo that had been a staple of the channel since 2002. The new logo removed the iconic Mickey ears, instead choosing to put ears on the dot of the eye in Disney. The wand IDs remained, with some major alterations. Instead of holding a giant glowing stick, the stars now held a wizard's wand. Instead of drawing the classic logo, the stars only drew the ears on the eye. And instead of being on a white background, the stars were placed in front of a generic location. In 2017, this changed to a colored background. And in 2018, the white background returned, as did the glow stick. These newer eras of Disney Channel have been separated into the glass or family era, the social media era, and most recently, the item age. Because there's items in the bumpers. We can work on that name, there's still time.
That's weird.
So this leads to the obvious question. Which era is best? The answer is whichever era you watched as a kid. But if you looked at just pure popularity, then the Disney Channel peaked during the Ribbon era in 2007. This was helped in large part by the premiere of High School Musical 2, which was watched by 17.24 million people. This broke the record not...
That is crazy, chat. That is so many people. I watched that. I was one of them. Wow. I wonder how much they made from this. Not enough. There's definitely no way they made enough. 17 mil? Oh my gosh. That was just the premiere.
Not only for the most watched premiere of a Disney Channel original movie, but also the record for the most watched program premiere on cable ever.
Wow.
That's all of cable ever. It broke the record set the previous year by a Monday Night Football game, which itself broke a record set by the Al Gore-Ross Perot debate over NAFTA in 1993. It is obvious why High School Musical 2 was able to achieve this feat. The debate over NAFTA was an intense and important argument between two powerful political rivals, and Monday Night Football is consistently popular as it broadcasts the intensity and suspense of athletics. High School Musical 2 was able to combine these two ratings winners by showcasing both the drama of sports as well
Crazy, because, guys, High School Musical 2 kind of cringe.
As a tantalizing debate. Rather than the pros and cons to controversial trade legislation, with Perot on the side of anti-NAFTA and Gore on the side of pro-NAFTA, High School Musical 2 showcases a debate as to whether high schooler Chad Danforth can or cannot dance, with Chad squarely on the side of anti-dance, or as he says, I don't dance, and with theater kid Ryan Evans firmly on the side of pro-dance, or in his words, I know you can. This back and forth captured America in a way that neither the NAFTA debate or Monday Night Football could do on their own. When Chad replies to Ryan's assertion that he knows that he can dance, Chad, like a bullwhip, retorts, not a chance. 17 million people watched this premiere. If you clicked on this video, you were probably one of them. It impacted some more than others. In 2007, Disney Channel had an average of 2.694 million viewers,
my God.
which at the time was the
That's more than XQC. That's crazy.
largest audience in the history of cable. This was the peak in the channel's popularity. As more television viewers, especially children, moved away from cable and to the internet, Disney Channel's viewership fell dramatically, and in 2021, the channel saw an average of only 233,000 viewers.
Oh my God. They fell off, chat.
A 90% loss from its peak in 2007.
Oh my
2007,
God.
the year that the Disney Channel peaked in viewership. The year that Disney Channel...
Dude, no wonder. No wonder they're bringing back That's So Raven, and they're trying to bring back like Hannah Montana, and they're trying to bring... No wonder they're trying to do all these revibes. They're trying to get the adult audience to come watch it.
The year that Disney Channel hired a new composer to write music for their bumpers. A composer that just
We
agreed
found
to an
this
interview.
guy. David.
Hi, my name's David Norland. I'm a composer. I worked on the Disney Channel bumpers
got an
and
accent
IDs
in it.
from around 2007 to around 2014. Anything but a musician. I was educated classically up to the age of 11 or 12 when I discovered the electric guitar and took a hard left turn. I started doing work for various animation companies and production companies. I guess through word of mouth, I got a call from this guy one day who was, at the time, the creative director for a channel that doesn't exist anymore. It's a channel called SoapNet.
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 SoapNet. The new way to watch soaps.
He got me to do the music, and we developed this relationship, and he moved on from there to become the creative director for Disney Channel. And when he went there in 2007, the very first thing he did was this big rebrand, and he hired me to do that, which was great. I'd made records for Disney artists before, and it was at a time when pop music, like in its purest, sugariest form, was really having another heyday. And suddenly Disney was sort of dominating. I guess what I was trying to do was to channel what I'd done for them in pop records and what was happening pop-wise at the time into the bumpers, so that it was really consistent with everything that Disney was doing at that point.
What do you want the effect of it to have?
First of all, you have to ask the question, what is a bumper for? We've got the commercial break coming up, or whatever the break is in the programming, and we do not want people to go away. I'm trying to create, and I think the people making the visuals as well, it's just a sense of ongoing excitement that this is not the end, that there's more to come, and it's going to be even more exciting.
Thanks,
the
Deb.
Actual 4-note mnemonic, the dun 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 dun, predated me. I inherited that when I was brought on board in a musical sense. I've got to have made something that rhythmically and melodically leads to the mnemonic as the logical culmination of it.
He made a crazy one.
So with those 4 notes, did you compose all in the same key? Is it the same 4 notes, or is it the same steps?
It's the same steps. It's the same intervals. So whether it's bum 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 or bum 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 bum, it's still, and so I composed in a lot of different keys. They're not particularly exotic keys. They're the kinds of keys that you would find pop music written in. I wonder if I could sit at the piano and illustrate this.
Oh, please.
Yeah, you can go bum 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 bum. Would probably, to me, I would automatically think of that as bum 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 bum. Right, so F G C.
Oh, he's good.
4-5-1. But you could also do it the other way around. You could do bum 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 bum, right, and do it 5-4-1, or you could do bum 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 bum. So you could do an E dominant.
He's good at this, chat.
Or you could do bum 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 bum, which is a little more kind of jazzy and old school and.
We need a new intro for Fear and.
The basic rhythm is
bum
bum bum bum, right? But I think that I probably messed the rhythm around a little, moved it around a little bit in some circumstances as well, and probably went bump bump bump.
Copyright? Do you want me to call the guy? I'll call him.
Which is just rhythmically a slightly different way of voicing it. It's still the same intervals, but it says something ever so slightly different rhythmically.
I want to ask you about some of the compositions specifically.
Oh yeah, they made it
my
spicy.
Favorite. It was this wild, like,
That one was originally scored to one which had a particular ribbon movement around it, and the string runs reflected precisely the ribbon movement.
You were hired to do this. Do they say to you, hey, we're keeping this mnemonic, go nuts, but have it end with this?
Actually, it would have been an informal conversation between me and Ron, the executive, and that conversation probably would have been, you know what the mnemonic is, don't you? Yeah, just make sure, obviously everything's got to end with that. I don't even know that he would have even had to have said everything's got to end with that, because I would have known that. Seems very unlikely that it would even have been considered that they would change the mnemonic. It's such a successful piece of branding.
They don't hand you sheet music with 4 notes on it.
I don't think they did. No.
What's this guy's job?
I think at a certain point with the Disney Junior one, which I had actually written, I think I did have to submit a piece of sheet music with these 4 notes on a stave. But I never received that for the Disney Channel thing.
Thank you, Casual Creature. Producer, media composer.
And I have no idea who originally came up with it.
Job.
As to your quest to find out who was the originator of it, I'd be quite interested to know as well. Because in this sort of very narrow specialist realm of making music, you have to figure that that's one of the more successful things of all time in that realm.
Oh my God! Ow! That sneeze hurt.